Everybody, happy Monday. This is day 21 of our internal cleanse. What that means is that it is the end of the third week of the postings and the beginning of the final 10 days of the internal cleanse supplements. So I thought I would take a minute this morning, or probably more than a minute, and talk a little bit about the Doterra Wellness Pyramid. Here you can see it. As you can see, the fundamental is eating right, and then exercise and weight management, and then rest, which includes sleep, of course, and stress management, reducing your toxic load, which we've been talking about, especially this past week, but on and off. And then it goes up to the higher levels where you're actually empowering yourself to use both natural and Western types of solutions for any health concerns. So the first thing that a lot of people ask me, and the thing that I think is a frustration to many, many people, is eat right. What does that mean? I'm old enough that when I grew up, everything was organic. Pretty much. I mean, that was just how people grew things. There were not a lot of sprays and toxins. And especially if you went to a farmer market or a roadside stand, you grew stuff in your backyard, it was all healthy. And so it was mostly just a question of cultural preferences, or maybe you like to eat local all the time, so your meals consisted of whatever was available for that season locally, things like that. You knew and everybody was out working or exercising pretty much. The kids were playing outside. There weren't hours in front of the TV. I mean, we didn't even have a TV till I was 7. That's how old I am. But we only had, in my house, with my kids growing up, we only had a 13-inch black and white TV until they were seniors in high school. And so they played outside, and they made up games and things like that. So these modern days, with all the electronics, I think people think about exercise as, you have to carve out time to go to a gym or learn boxing or something, and maybe that's what your option is, and that's great, and I'm very grateful that there are all those options out there. But basically, I've read many times, and I know that it's true from all the experience I've had, is that you cannot out-exercise a bad diet. You just can't. Or even just eating too much of good things. So the most fundamental question when you are during your cleanse especially, but also after that when you're trying to manage your weight and keep up your energy and so forth, and all the months that you're not doing major cleanses, is what is it that I'm supposed to eat? How can I figure it out? There are so many diet books out there, and everybody says that their way is the best way. So without saying that what I do is the absolute best way and that no other way can work, I thought I would tell you what I do and why. And that might give you a little bit of guidance, or just some, pardon the pun, food for thought, about how you might think about how to choose the foods that you eat. So let's first talk a little bit about blood, and specifically about your blood type. Many people don't know their blood type. They don't really think about it. It usually, in their mind, only comes into importance if they need a transfusion, if they're in a horrible accident. And I guess most people figure if that happens, the medics can figure out what blood type they are and give them blood, and that's that. However, blood type is fundamental. Your blood obviously is fundamental. Your blood is the source of your life, and it's also, as you know by now from being on my education page or in the posts that you've seen, that the blood is what carries your nutrients, and including the essential oils, to every single cell in your body. And So you want your blood to be operating at the best possible flow and to be as healthy as possible. The red and white cells in your blood to be in the balance that they should be, and so forth. So the reason I think it's important for you to know your blood type is that your blood type has a lot to do with what foods you can digest best. And obviously the foods that you can digest best are the ones that will keep your system going with the most energy, the least stress, and having everything in balance as much as possible. So you say, well, why would that work? Well, the reason it works, as so many other things in nature, is a simple process of a lock and a key, or a key and a keyhole, kind of. So every kind of blood type has certain antibodies, and they have a certain shape. And foods have lectins in them. It's a kind of a special protein that have a certain shape. And when you eat a certain food, your body looks at that food to decide if that food is a friend or an enemy. And the way that it decides is that if the lectins of that food are the shape of a blood type that your blood should not have mixed with it, it treats that food like an unwanted blood type. So for example, I'll show you a little picture which I really like. Here's a picture, and you can see on one side all the little lectins are attached together, and on the other side they're all separate and floating freely. And that's because the food that's coming down, the little particles of food that are coming down, the blood type of the person receiving those either likes them and just allows them to mingle freely, or doesn't like them at all and tries to form a defense. So I'll give you a couple of practical examples. I'm a blood type B. If I eat lima beans are extremely beneficial to me. And actually I happen to like them, and probably that's why. Anyway, if I eat them, my blood is very happy, loves to have them, says, come on in, digests them very easily, and that's that. However, if my husband, Johnny, who's a type A, eats them, all kinds of chaos ensues. He has probably gas, he might even have an upset stomach. It might cause him not to eliminate properly. I mean, these are serious issues, and over time, all that inflammation that's being caused by having that and sort of antagonistic food will wind up doing damage. Now, the opposite example would be buckwheat. If Johnny eats buckwheat, his blood is very happy about buckwheat, was receiving buckwheat with great joy. But if I eat buckwheat, it causes chaos in me. So it's really, really important to think about what you are eating. When you eat according to blood type, it's not a diet in terms of limiting calories or anything like that. It's saying if you have a choice of a grain or a fruit or meat or no meat, what kind of fish, anything like that. It's not a one-size-fits-all. It's what foods and even beverages, condiments, things like that, which ones will help your body really function at its best possible level. And that's what we're always trying to do. So one of the things that I really like about this book Eat Right for Your Blood Type, which just came out last year in a 20th anniversary edition, is that it has tables for every single blood type. And on those tables, it allows you to see what things are highly beneficial for you and what things will really be the worst for you. So, for example, for me, blood type B is the only blood type that really can do well with a fair amount of dairy, a varied amount of dairy. Most people can eat fermented dairy like plain yogurt, but blood type B does well. So here is an example of my dairy, some of my dairy choices. Now the little symbol with the two cross pieces is that it's extremely good for weight loss, and the arrows going up mean that it is good to increase the diversity of my microbiome, the gut bacteria. So I always try to get the foods that will do both, but if not, at least the ones that will do one or the other. And there are highly beneficial foods for each blood type that they act like medicine. There are neutrals, which your body sort of doesn't care one way or the other, but that could increase your microbiome diversity or could help you lose weight. And then there are ones that are avoid. And some of those avoid ones are really, really, really bad for you. So I'm just throwing that out there. It's not something that you need to do, obviously. It's sometimes some of the food choices are odd to you, but I honestly think that once you would try them, your body would be so excited and you'll feel it. And you'll say, wow, I didn't think I liked that before. I never tried that before, but I should have more of that. One of the issues that does come up with the blood type diet is that there are blood types, O in particular, and also my blood type B, that really need lean meat as part of the diversity that helps to keep the blood flow satisfied. The reason for that is that blood types were developed over many, many, many thousands of years, and they have to do with the circumstances in which the people lived. So, for example, blood type O is a very ancient blood type, and it does best in a paleo diet because those people who were eating basically lean red meat and raw fruit and vegetables, mostly vegetables and grasses and herbs and things like that. That's what's best. That's what their body does best on, even though our bodies and some of our other systems have developed over many thousands of years to be different from what they were back then. The blood is one thing that doesn't seem to have changed all that much. So that's the O. And A, on the other hand, so an O does well in paleo, and A, on the other hand, developed when people came together in communities and were farming and had flocks of domesticated food animals like chicken, like turkey, but a lot of grains, and also, of course, fruits and vegetables, but again, different ones. So an A does very well on a vegetarian or vegan diet. In fact, if an A is trying to eat lean red meat, they will not feel well. They won't digest it well, and over time it can be very problematic. A B is a balanced diet. And so, but a B developed when populations of the world migrated away from the original warmer climates and up into the northern climates, and were more nomads and going across colder plains and they could have larger flocks of goat and sheep, reindeer, and things like that. So the very best meats for me, and meats that I really should have at least 3 or 4 times a week, are goat and lamb and mutton. And also venison and rabbit are good for me. So the things that could either be herded or caught in a more severe climate. And and the same with because they were sheep and goats, you could have that milk. And cow milk is pretty easily digestible by me as well, unlike the other blood types. And then AB is the most modern blood type, and it's closer to an A, but it's a little bit of both. There's more to it than that. But I wanted to throw that out there to you, because if you've been doing everything right, you've been exercising, you've been eating organic, you've been drinking lots of water, and it's just not working and you're still not well, I would just offer to you this suggestion that you think about the blood type diet. I've been doing it for about 10 years, and I know people who've been doing it much longer than that and who've had incredible healing. So if that's something that you'd like to know more about, please ask. I'm happy to discuss that with you and to give you some suggestions. But whatever you do, lots of fresh, clean water, lots of raw, organic fruits and vegetables, and most of all, a joyful attitude. And the oils can help with that. They can help keep the toxins away. So whatever it is that you're eating and doing, it'll be the most beneficial it can be to your body. So thanks again for joining me, and I look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.